and it's just put on the wall, and you're meant to look at it as a pretty picture. And instead, I think art and images are ways of, they are visuals of the world. And if you just look at them by themselves, you lose the idea that the image is an understanding of the world, and by comparing it and showing it along other objects, I think it brings back that existential quality. Also, the show is very much about asking ourselves who is the artist, and is the artist the person that is recognized as such, or is the artist somebody who devotes his life to a project, maybe in isolation or in exclusion, and so that's one of the questions of the show. The show, of course, you know particularly well, the Venice Biennale is always composed by two parts, one being the international show and the other the national pavilions. I chose also this theme because, in a way, the Venice Biennale is an encyclopedic palace itself that is a failed attempt every 2 years to bring the world in one place, and so it's very similar to Auriti's project, and it's a project that succeeds and fails every 2 years because it does bring the world together, but it's of course always a very partial view of the world. The international show is one, but it's divided in usually 3 parts: the central pavilion, the Arsenale, and then there are some outside projects and other pieces in the Giardino del Verde. It is one unique show, but I organize it in 2 sub-themes or subsections. Here in the pavilion, the exhibition deals with what the art historian Hans Belting calls internal images. And those are the dream, the vision, the hallucination, what basically we see with our eyes closed, or what we see with our imagination. So in here, the show particularly reflects on the space of the imaginary and the space of the invisible. So that's why the show here starts with Carl Gustav Jung's Red Book, in a symmetry with Auriti. Jung was also a dilettante, was a self-taught. He was certainly not an artist, but he dedicated 16 years of his life to these strange objects. Also an exhibition about knowledge, I thought needed to start with a book. And also we, and Israel in particular, we all know the importance of books for humanity, and so I think I wanted to start with that object, which is a. No, well, I cannot compare it to the book or to Jung, but it's a book that is a process also of self-analysis and self-discovery through images, and that's why it starts here. And so this section deals more with the way in which images help us understand and depict ourselves, and that's why self-portraiture is very important also in this section. The Arsenale instead is more about the realm of the visible, so this is about the invisible, and there it's instead about the realm of the visible, and there you see the artists trying to represent the world, trying to capture the world with its variety and richness. So Jung, when he was working on the book, he said that the book contained the cryptograms of the self, and that he was trying to decode the cryptograms of the selves. In the Arsenale, it's more about the artist trying to, particularly in the initial part, trying to crack the code of nature, let's say. The Arsenale is structured as a progression from natural forms to artificial forms, so the very end deals with the status of images in digital society and what happens to us, to our bodies and images once we live sort of immersed and suffocated by them. And I think that's pretty much it in terms of the ordering of the exhibition. Unless you have any question, I'd like to go in.
So you don't relate to Wikipedia?
Well, it is obviously a show about today, a show about information and about our knowledge society. We were joking with Peter Fishley, of whom we have that wonderful piece up there. We say that's his clay pig. It's like the history of the world made in clay. And yes, the show talks about this new both anxiety and enthusiasm for knowledge that media give us, but it looks at the same time at it as a sort of prehistory. And it shows that this obsession for knowledge and for information is maybe one that runs very deep in humanity, and that it's not just of today. Hans Belting again in his book says that the first medium of images is not the printed page, is not the computer, but it's our body and our brain. It's a very simple but I think radical concept that Belting develops in this book, and he says basically the human is the only animal that makes images, and it's a simple concept, but it's a quite mind-blowing one, and he says the first locus, the first place of images is our body. We close our eyes and we see something, and so it is about information society, but looking back at what Jung called the Urbilder, the primal images of the first image.
It's about the overflow also of knowledge?
Yeah, but that's why I wanted, the show is, only in here there are more than 2,000 individual objects, and so I wanted the show to be incredibly dense. I always find it strange that in a day we see thousands of images in our computers, in our phones. She's looking at me through an image, that's slightly perverse, because then why would I come in person here? But it's, so it's about this experience, but I find weird that we live and see so many images every day, and then we go to museums and we have this sort of minimal idea of contemporary art museums. They're always very stylish, or galleries, big empty spaces, and I wanted this show to be as dense as a day in front of a computer. The viewer is also bombarded with images, but I hope with images that have a quality and a weight that is different from the volatile images that surround us in the digital society. So it was a way also to beat that idea of the overflow with its own weapons, instead of with this kind of contemplative whiteness that is so typical of museums. It's, in a way, the show itself is a machine of images that tries to fight against the overflow of images. So I'm going to have to go back.
Thank you very much.